Fable 1 is remembered as one of the best RPGs of the early 2000s. But it might also be one of the most overpromised games ever made. Not because Lionhead lied, but because Fable tried to be something the technology of 2004 simply couldn't handle. But what if those promises hadn't been broken? What if Albion really reacted to you? What if quests could be stolen? What if villains shaped the world itself? In other words, what if we got the Fable that never was? Before release, Peter Molyneux sold Fable as more than a game. He sold it as a living world. Albion was supposed to react to you in almost every way. If you committed horrific acts, entire towns were meant to turn against you. Villagers would rally posses, hunt you down, and treat you like a public enemy. The idea was simple but powerful. Evil wouldn't just change how you looked, it would change how the world worked. There was even talk that if you killed someone, their child might one day grow up and come after you for revenge. It was an incredible vision, but not the game that shipped. Instead, Fable delivered a softer version of that idea. NPCs react emotionally, they cheer if you're good, boo if you're evil, or gossip about your deeds. But those reactions are mostly surface level. You hear the same lines repeated across different towns, and nothing truly systematic ever unfolds. But we did get a bounty system. You commit crimes and guards will chase you. But that's very different from society itself turning against you. In practice, being evil doesn't really change the game that much. You mostly just get horns, darker skin, and some edgy comments. Right away, we can see the gap between what Fable wanted to be and what it could actually deliver. That same gap appears in another promise, a change in Albion. Molyneux talked about towns growing, decaying, and transforming based on your choices. But in Fable 1, almost none of that happens. Villages stay the same, and the land stays the same. The only thing that truly changes is you. Your hero ages, grows stronger, and transforms visually, while everyone else feels frozen in time. It creates this strange feeling that you're moving forward through a static world, and this becomes more so when your character ends up older than your mother somehow. This idea does come closer to reality in Fable 2, but that's a story for another video. If the world didn't really change, then maybe the quests did, right? Well, not exactly. One of the coolest earlier ideas was that other heroes would exist inside of Albion. If you waited too long to accept a quest, another hero could take it first. You might even compete against them for the same contract. This was meant to make the world feel alive, like you weren't the only powerful person in it. In the final game, we only see a tiny version of this. At one point, you choose whether to steal gems or defend them, and Whisper takes the opposite side. But that's it. You never lose quests, you never face other heroes other than Whisper and Thunder, and you can do everything at your own pace with zero consequences. The dynamic system that was promised ended up mostly cut. There was also early talk about co-op multiplayer in Fable 1. That didn't make it in either. Instead, multiplayer arrived in Fable 2 in the form of glowing orbs that represented players from other worlds. So again, we see a pattern. Big ideas in Fable 1, but the real implementation came later, and that pattern leads to one of the biggest characters in the series, Jack of Blades. When people talk about the villains of Fable, Jack of Blades is usually the first one they mention. As a character, he is fantastic. He's creepy, theatrical, mysterious, and deeply tied to the Old Kingdom and the lore of the Fable universe. But when you look at how Jack was described before release, there's another clear gap between promise and reality. Early on, Jack wasn't just meant to be the final villain. He was talked about like a living shadow over all of Albion, a force that would seep into the world itself. The idea was that you wouldn't just fight Jack, you'd feel his influence everywhere. In reality, Jack is an incredible antagonist, but mechanically, he's still mostly traditional. He appears in scripted moments, he taunts you, and he shows up for the final fights. But he doesn't actually reshape towns. Villagers don't panic because of him. He doesn't sabotage your quests or manipulate the world dynamically. There is also this expectation that Jack would be shaped by your choices, that your morality would make your conflict with him feel personal. But in the final game, Jack's story plays out largely the same, whether you're a saint or a monster. And that's where Fable's deeper truth emerges. Jack isn't a failure. He is a symbol of everything Fable wanted to be. A world where villains weren't just characters in cutscenes, but living forces inside the game itself. The technology of 2004 simply wasn't ready for that. But the fact that Line had even tried, that they imagined a villain like Jack as more than just a boss fight, is part of why Fable still feels special today. So yes, Fable 1 was built on broken promises, but here's the twist. Those broken promises didn't ruin Fable, they defined it. The ambition behind them is what made Albion feel magical. It's why people still talk about this game 20 years later. It's why Fable didn't just get one sequel, it got 3, and also a full reboot. But the Fable reboot might not actually be a reboot at all. It could take place in the same overarching Fable universe as the original games. And if you want to know why I think that, make sure to check out this video right here.